Hey there, welcome back to Author Journey. My name is CJ Anaya, and today we are going to talk about tropes. I've had so many people ask me about my favorite romance tropes, so we're going to get into that. If you don't know what a trope is, I will teach you that as well, and we'll get started on this. It's not going to be a very long tutorial at all. So, if I can get this to work, there we go. Okay, romance trope. A romance trope is a plot device used to get two people to fall in love with each other, okay? So you can use one or two within a story to make the book uniquely your own. Remember that studying the market to find out what types of tropes are resonating with readers is really important when coming up with story ideas you know will sell. So trope number one that I love is the amnesia trope, and it can be used in romances or in other books as well, and has been. But in romances, I find it very fun. One of the protagonists gets amnesia and either doesn't remember the person they fell in love with or simply doesn't remember anything, period. So the issue of amnesia can be used in various ways. Maybe a young lady walks up in a hospital with no memory of who she is and no family there to claim her. Maybe a female spy went on assignment and was betrayed by a colleague. Now she's been injured, lost her memory, and she has no idea why two opposing forces are hunting her down. Okay, and then, enter the helpful love interest ready to assist. I saw this with Alias. I've read it in various books. There are all sorts of fun ways that you can use this amnesia trope, and I have used it in my Paranormal Misfits series. And you can also twist it for past lives, because nobody's going to remember past lives, but maybe those past lives come back to haunt you. So that's a fun twist and take on it as well. A good example of the amnesia trope within a love story is The Vow, starring Channing Tatum and Rachel McAdams. And that's one that was actually based on a true story, so it really happened. And Rachel McAdams' character, they're in a car accident, even though they're actually just sitting parked. A huge truck runs into them. She doesn't have her seatbelt on. She goes through the windshield. And she doesn't remember a specific period of time, a huge chunk of time that involves meeting her husband and marrying him. And so it's just a very interesting, kind of heartbreaking example of real life amnesia and what happens to people, but also just within this story. It was very touching and I enjoyed it. So you should check that out if you kind of want to study this trope and see how you could implement it, maybe give you some ideas of how you could use it in a romance novel or whatever genre you are writing in. Trope number two, marriage of convenience. So two characters who have no interest in each other are forced by circumstances, usually financial, to marry one another in order to fulfill their own specific want or need. For example, one character can't receive an inheritance unless that character is married, and the other character is in need of financial aid for their failing mother's health. Okay, so that's just one example. So basically, you've got one character who is probably who needs to be married, and the other character doesn't necessarily need to be married, but they need something that this person can give them. And so this person will say, I'll marry you, or if you'll marry me, then I'll give you this thing that you need. So that's kind of the basis of it. So the marriage occurs with no love involved, which opens up a lot of really fun opportunities for conflicts to occur, for misunderstandings to occur. And then that love blossoms in a situation where the love already should have been there. So there's just so many things that could go wrong. A really great example of this is the movie The Proposal, although they don't start out as married, but as engaged. So it's the same basis. They're not necessarily married, but they're as good as married because they have to play the part in front of family and friends. And this forced togetherness it forces them to explore each other's personalities, each other's motives, to develop a relationship that they normally wouldn't. So this is a very fun trope to play with. Trope number three, the playboy, the bad boy. This trope is where the guy keeps women at arm's length due to past trauma. He seems like the inherent bad boy in the beginning, but there are layers to this character and this trope. So a great example of this is Chuck Bass from Gossip Girl, okay? He's a fun character. I actually didn't watch a lot of Gossip Girl, but I do remember his character and pegged him right away as this. So forgive me for anyone who's a huge Gossip Girl fan. What makes this trope so fun is turning this playboy's world upside down by introducing a woman who is either too clueless to care about who he is or is too smart to let him know she's interested. So you get a sassy girl to say no to this character, and he's suddenly intrigued, and the chase is on. So he's chasing her without realizing that he's falling hard, and by the time he falls hard, it's too hard to pull back. But that's kind of where that dark moment in the book comes into play, where he does pull back because he is feeling and he doesn't want to feel anything. So this is very, very fun. Trope number 4, reality TV show. And I totally did this in Marry Your Billionaire. I put 2 people together on a show and and watched the carnage unfold. So that quite literally happens in the Hunger Games as well, which is a darker take on this trope with Peeta and Katniss. So it's interesting how you can take these tropes and fit them to meet the needs of the specific subgenres you write within. So Peeta and Katniss were put on here and on the reality TV show, but they also had to play that not necessarily marriage of convenience trope, but that essentially the basis of it. They had to play this couple even though they weren't, but he felt one way and she didn't. So those 2 tropes came together to make a very interesting dark series where the romance was more secondary to the main goal, which was, to overcome President Snow. And but still that romance was really pivotal because it played on a lot of wants and needs for Katniss and for Peeta. So those motivations were very clear and compelling. And so that's one way to write it. And this creates a lot of great external conflict since there are certain expectations to be had on TV. You can create a million scenarios with the main guy falling for the least likely candidate and see how these obstacles affect the relationship. So trope number 5, second chance at love. This one is all about the do-over. Things don't work out the first time. And this time around, what broke them once may break them again unless they can finally overcome that particular conflict. So you could pair it with the social class romance trope. Maybe they didn't work the first time because their different social classes and pressures from family members drew them apart. A great example of this is Sweet Home Alabama. So Reese Witherspoon plays the role of a girl who escaped her small hometown with her many secrets. She needed to get out of there. Her new boyfriend proposes to her and she has to go back to Alabama to ask her estranged husband to give her a divorce. He still loves her and wants her back, and maybe she really wants him back too, and that's the journey they take with this second chance at love. Social class, trope number 6. You see this one all the time because it works so well and offers up so many avenues for conflict. One person is in a lower class than another, and there is animosity between the classes. I can think of several here. There's Titanic, there's Sense and Sensibility, Wuthering Heights, just to name a few. So this one works great with historical romances as well, since social class and standing, especially in the Regency period, was huge. It was so huge and so pivotal, and was what motivated most of those alliances and marriages in the first place. Pair that with a marriage of convenience trope or a second chance at love trope, and you will have something very fun to work with. Okay, trope number 7, unrequited love. One character has been in love with another for a very long time, and the other person either has no idea or doesn't feel the same way. You can also pair this trope with another one like a marriage of convenience trope, which I think would be awesome, and is also, I think, at some point a bit unrequited when maybe one person is trying to get the love interest involved in that marriage solely because they love them. And they don't have any other reason for it than that. So that can be a really fun combination of tropes to work with. I see this a lot with stories involving best friends. The girl has loved the guy all throughout high school, but he never saw her as anything other than a friend. And you can switch the genders easily enough to fit your needs, which is nice. Great Expectations is one example of this. The Princess Bride is also great, although that trope is resolved fairly quickly. I wouldn't say that Prince Humperdinck was suffering from unrequited love because he didn't really love her. He was just going to kill Princess Buttercup in the end anyway. But Wesley spent so much time serving Buttercup before she finally, realizes at the beginning that he he is in love with her. So that trope is resolved fairly quickly, but it's still there and it's still actually really fun. The whole "as you wish" line is just so recognizable and quoted often. Okay, so trope number 8, woman in peril. This is great for romantic suspense. Maybe she's in witness protection or she's on the run after seeing something she shouldn't have seen. You could pair this with the marriage of convenience trope as a way for her to change her name and keep her safe while the man involved gets something out of the arrangement in return. Spaceballs, enough said when used in comedy. So I love that movie so much. And when I thought about it, I just had to put it in there because it's a great example of romantic comedy and how you can use a woman in peril trope for, yes, it is romantic suspense, but you can also pair it with a very comedic, fun romance as well. So I think Spaceballs, and if there is anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, go watch that movie immediately. Please do yourself a favor. Okay, trope number 9, ugly duckling. The love interest eventually sees the beauty the other character has. And I like to pair this with the unrequited love trope or the social class trope in a high school setting. So that's a fun YA book that you can explore. Kind of make it unique, make it your own. She's All That, starring Freddie Prinze Jr. and Rachel A. Cook. That was so huge when I was in high school. I'm really dating myself here, but I like this trope when paired with a dare. Maybe the guy claims he can get any girl, and his friends dare him to try for a librarian type personality who would never give him the time of day. And this also reminds me of Guys and Dolls as well, because Sky Masterson says he can get, any girl to go on vacation with him, and then he is challenged to get the most stuffiest, most religious, most buttoned up woman to just take off and leave with him. And so that is a very fun, and not necessarily seems like an ugly duckling, but just not, that sensual woman that these men would go for. So this is very fun to play with as well. Trope number 10, and the last trope that I really, really enjoy, is the stranded trope. So this is when two total strangers are stranded together and have to rely on each other for survival. And this could be paired with the woman in peril trope. She could hide the fact that she is on the run because she wants to help, or she wants help from the guy she is stranded with. And then this movie I don't know how long this movie came out actually, but this one is perfect. So I was thinking The Mountain Between Us with Kate Winslet and Idris Elba. So this is a great example of two people who don't really know each other, who are put in a survival situation and eventually come to care for each other. There's a huge, emotional development connection there, and a relationship is formed, and it's really beautiful because of all of the struggles that they go through and everything that they overcome. And what's nice about these tropes is that they're popular, but it's so easy to make the books your own. Yes, the tropes are used, and yes, it can seem cliche, but if it's not broke, don't fix it. If these are the things that people enjoy, which they are, and you see them used time and time again in movies and literature, then use them. Use them as plot devices to further romances, to get people to fall in love with each other, and make it your own in the process. See how you can make it unique and put your own spin on things. So, if you liked this video, let me know by liking it. Please subscribe if you're new to the channel and new to the family. If you have any questions or any other tropes you'd like to list that would be beneficial for all of us, please do so in the comments below, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.